Okay, where do we begin?
Day 6.
Day 6.
I'm gonna
Wow.
let you do most of the talking on this one.
Wow. So we started off the day. It was a good morning. We got up, got packed up. We had to switch rooms within the hotel due to a booking issue.
We booked it online, and it was kind of like a freak occurrence that there was availability here at the Belton Chalet, where the way it was still
is.
So they called us the day after we booked it and said that we could keep our reservation, but after 2 nights we would need to move to a different room. And did I want a crappier room for $10 less, or a better room for $10 more? We'll take a better room, thank you. It's bigger, it's the same amenities, everything's the same. There's no air conditioning. We're slightly closer to the lobby area, so we hear more stuff. And it just feels slightly less private maybe, but there is more room. Like,
There is
we're
more
not
room.
tripping over our suitcases, so that's a bonus. I would have taken this over the other one for
Mhm.
sure. So we got up and packed up our stuff and checked out, left our bags with the staff.
And they were going to go ahead and move them to our new room once it was clean and available, which they did, so that was good.
Very nice.
So we decided to head it back out to Mini Glacier area, bright and early, so we get there first thing in the morning and parking wouldn't be an issue. So
Which it wasn't.
no, it wasn't.
We got there.
We took a different route and it was a much better route.
No weird construction.
Mm-hmm.
We got to Swift Current Motor Inn and parked, and then went in, had a nice breakfast, and then hit the trail.
We went and did the
Red Rock Falls Fisher Cap Lake Trail.
Mm-hmm. So the first thing that once we started on the trail, it was on the Swift Current Pass Trail.
Head.
First thing we came across was the lake,
Fisher Cap Lake.
and in Fisher Cap Lake,
There was a moose.
we got to see a moose. So we got some really good photos of the moose.
Eating
yeah.
in the water. It was so fun. I could have watched that moose all day.
Just one moose, but still, we were able to put on the telephoto and get some pretty good pictures. It was probably 150 yards away.
I'm gonna guess it was a lady moose
Yeah.
because it didn't have any
Antlers.
antlers, moose horns.
Yep. So that was cool. And then we also saw a deer come into the stream that was falling out of the lake there.
That was kind of neat, but also we have deer at home, so it was not nearly as cool as the moose. The moose was cool.
So then we hiked on up past the lake, on up to the
Next lake, which
Yep.
was the Red Rock Lake, named for the red rocks.
that surround it. Yeah.
It was really pretty. It's a beautiful lake. And then there is Red Rock Falls that dumps into that lake, so we hiked up to Red Rock Falls.
Kelly learned that rock climbing is not necessarily one of her strong suits.
I'm not good at it, and it makes me panicky. And
Climbing isn't bad for her. It's getting back down from the top once you've climbed it.
I had to have help from strangers. I almost cried a little bit. I thought I was gonna die. I was probably fine, but there were several times that I felt like I was teetering on the edge of some pointy rocks or slippery rocks, and if I would have fallen, I probably would have died, or at least been seriously injured. So I freaked out for a second, but it's fine. We made it.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. So then we kind of walked on even a little bit more and saw, I guess, from the upper view of
The falls.
waterfall.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yep.
And then we hiked back.
We hiked back. It was about 3.5 hours. We were out hiking on that trail, and got back, and it was about time for lunch. So we stopped into the motor lodge again. Decided to have lunch before hitting the road because we were going to come on down to the Two Medicine area.
Where we were planning on doing 2 more hikes.
So we left the park and started heading towards Two Medicine, and the warning light comes on the rental car that we have a tire getting low. And so I turn it to the information screen that shows all the 4 tires and their tire pressures. And we're on this twisty-turvy road that we were on previously with the bad construction, but it was the only route to get to 2 Madison.
No pavement.
So we start to go down that way, and I see the PSI drop 1 PSI at a time. I'm starting to get nervous about this, and then the warning goes off, and I'm like, oh boy, we gotta find a place to put air in this tire. So
We are very far away from anything at this point.
we are stuck in construction.
Mm-hmm.
We're parked, standing still. There's cows wandering around through the traffic that's parked, standing still, waiting for the pilot car to lead us through this active construction zone.
Just watching our tire deflate.
On dirt, watching our tire slowly, 1 PSI at a time, tick away.
In the mountains.
And we were 25 miles from the nearest thing on the map. Well, that thing on the map was East Glacier. East Glacier is a gas station and a hotel. The gas station, we found out, does not even have an air hose.
Not an option. So we left there, we got gas, and then we left there and headed to the next nearest thing that we could find.
Which at this point, I'm at 25 PSI, and these things started with right at 38, 39 PSI.
So
I think they're supposed to be 40.
we're in pretty rough shape at this point.
We
So-
gotta go
We stopped, I don't even know what.
15 miles to Browning.
Well, before we went to Browning,
That was East Glacier.
remember first we stopped and I went in to ask, and the lady from Slovenia was like, go talk to the main lodge.
Yeah.
And then we left there.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
at St. Mary.
Uh-huh. And then we left there and went to the next gas station where the air machine said out of order. And I went in and asked that lady, where do you know, is there an air machine? And she said, well, where are you headed? And I said, anywhere with an air machine. So she directed us to Browning, which is where the Indian reservation is. And is
It's like the capital of the Blackfoot Indian Reservation.
very, very poor. We talked about this in a previous video. But we stopped at the gas station there, and first we go driving in.
We find Napa.
We find a Napa auto parts store, so we go in and we buy a tire inflator that you plug into the cigarette lighter thing, and it didn't have a price on it. I don't know how much it was supposed to cost, but we paid $24 for it to have just in case.
There was no receipt, no transaction. The register buttons weren't pushed. The guy just looked at me, looked at her, looked back at me, and then said $24.
Yeah. So we asked him if he knew if the gas station across the street had an air machine, and he said yes, and told us exactly where to go, pull around the left side of the building, and look for the yellow hose. So we did that, and
Filled up the tire.
filled up the tire, and then immediately watched it drop again, a couple of PSI. I get in the driver's seat and inch forward a little bit so John can look at the tire, and there is a giant bolt in the tire, huge. It was really
Yeah,
big,
yeah.
like a really big bolt.
Not just not like a roofing nail. It was a bolt.
Big
Yeah.
bolt in the tire. So we're like, oh man, what are we gonna do? We're kind of not alarmed by our surroundings at this point, but alarmed by the situation, because literally, what are we gonna do? We're 2 hours plus away from our hotel, or away from a town. We're on an Indian reservation. So we call, there's barely any cell service.
Mm-hmm.
We call roadside assistance that's on the little key fob of the thing. And they're like, okay, we'll get somebody out to you after they take our information. And we said, do you know how long? And they said, well, average time is 45 minutes. We're like, average time for here or average time for the country? That we're going to let you know via text or phone call when someone, is on the way. Okay, all right. So we just kind of pull out of the parking space and up next to what I'm guessing was like a dumpster. Granted, while we were still at the spot where John was airing up the tire, kind of like the spidey sense started tingling. There was these 3 guys sitting down against a garage, which I guess would be considered next door, but nothing is laid out.
Sitting on the ground.
Normal, just staring at us. And so then when we pull up
Very dirty, disheveled.
sketchy. Super sketchy. So sketchy. So then when we pull up next to this dumpster thing, we decided to take this time to try and straighten out our rental car situation because, again, as we mentioned earlier, the rental car is booked to be dropped off at a different airport than we're actually leaving out of. So John calls Avis, and Avis says to call Billings, which is where it's supposed to be dropped off. And then he calls Billings, and they said to call Kalispell. And he told them Kalispell said to call Avis, and Avis said to call Billings. And so then magically Billings had the answer that, yes, they could change over our reservation, but it would only cost $4,628. And I am not exaggerating. $4,628 to change the drop-off location from Logan Billings International Airport to Bozeman Glacier or Bozeman Yosemite, Yellowstone, whatever friggin' airport that's like 2 hours away. $4,000+. Okay, no thank you. While we're on the phone with these people, one of the guys that has been hanging out on the garage comes in and is just standing, staring in the window, like 6 inches away from the window, and I am now highly alarmed, like very, very alarmed. And John is just like kind of on the phone in the zone, like trying to figure things out, and I'm like, there's this guy, and then he starts trying to get in our vehicle. I really thought we were gonna die. I
He's
was
like tapping on the window, pulling on the door handle, and I'm like, no, go away. And he just keeps pulling on the door handle. The guy has no teeth in his head.
No.
Clearly some kind of addict.
Tries to get in the back seat. I, at this point, just want to take off, but what are we going to do? Because we have a bolt in the tire, there's no town nearby, and we're waiting for roadside assistance. I don't know what to do. So this goes on for a minute. I'm in full-blown panic mode. John kind of starts to get a little bit panicky. We give up on Avis. At some point in this transaction, I booked us another car on my phone out of Billings to drive to Bozeman. So we have to spend the last day of our vacation driving from our hotel in Yellowstone to Billings to drop off our current car.
A day early
to pick up and probably not get any money back, and then pick up another car that we have to drive from Billings to Bozeman.
From a different agency. Because Avis wouldn't even work with us on that.
No, and the cost to rent a car from them for one day was 3 times the cost as
$400.
And again, I'm just going to say, I don't want to give them any more of my money. It's just horrible customer service. They left us alone and stranded in the Indian reservation after we told them we were in kind of an unsafe situation.
So we called them back at this point.
Over an hour later, we call them, we're like, can you give us any idea? And they're like, well, we can't find anybody to come to you.
Cool, were you going to tell us that?
When were you going to let us know that? You're just letting us sit here. At this point, now there's 2 more people approaching the car and tapping on the window and trying to get in all the doors. So at this point, Avis
and the tires slowly deflate.
Advised us to change our own tire and then try and drive on, like, to a donut basically, and then try and drive through the mountain roads 2 hours to Kalispell where we rented the car, or get it towed in, but could not guarantee that we would have another vehicle. Clearly we weren't going to change the tire in this location where we're being accosted by people begging us for money trying to get in our vehicle. So we just took off. And
they called me and I said, well, we were in an unsafe location. I'm not changing the tire. I can see what pressure's in it. If it gets so low that I can't drive on it anymore, or I'm worried about it, then I'll pull over and I'll try to change it myself. And hopefully I'm not in the mountains when it happens, but I am not changing it here because it just was not safe. So we took off. and we put the hammer down.
Well, we drove basically holding our breath, clenching the seats, freaking out for an hour and a half, waiting for like the tire to blow on a mountain road with no guardrail on a 70-mile-an-hour speed limit situation.
You know, I've had a nail in a tire, I've had a screw in a tire. Those usually will stay in there for a while. You may get a slow leak, but they're not going to catastrophically fail. But this was
A
bolt.
giant bolt.
A bolt. And so I figured it could fling out at any time and the tire be flat, you know, instantly. But
I called the Avis at the Kalispell airport and talked to Joshua, an associate there, and he said, you know, try and make it back here and we'll look at your options. Not, we'll get you another car, because he couldn't guarantee that at this point. He said, or you can take it to a discount tire or a Les Schwab and they can fix it for you for free. And then I said, okay, well, I'm not really in an area that I can look, and I don't really know what you're even saying right now. Can you tell me where one of those are? And he said, sure, hold on, let me Google it. And then we lost all cell phone reception. No internet, no cell service, nothing. And that was with like an hour still yet to go.
yeah, for the next, 110 miles.
Yeah. So we just drove basically talking to Jesus, like
Hoping for that tire pressure to stay in there.
silence in the car, just blood pressure through the roof. I can't believe we both didn't have a stroke, just waiting to die. And then as soon as we got to about West Glacier, when we got just an inkling of service, I started Googling whatever these tire places were. And one was in Kalispell. It closed at 6 p.m. and the GPS said that we wouldn't make it there until 6:10 on a Friday night. And the other one, I could not tell what he was saying, but I just Googled tire service, and after the phone struggled and struggled and struggled to search this, finally it pops up and I recognize Les Schwab was what the guy had said on the phone. And there was one slightly closer to us that we could make it to 10 minutes before they close at 6 o'clock.
In Columbia Falls.
In Columbia Falls. So John just put the pedal to the metal with the bolt in the tire. I'm not saying this was a bad thing, because we had to get there. Like, there was not another option.
Yeah.
But
I figured it was either going to cut loose or it was going to leak out, and the faster I could get there, the less would have leaked out.
So we just did that. We just hammered through, and we got to the Les Schwab at, I think, 5:45, and they closed at 6, and the man was very, very nice, and they fixed it up for us, and we got out of there by like 6:10. So all in all, it was over and fine. But between the no, we can't change your reservation, getting accosted by several Native Americans, like beating on the window trying to get in our car, and then
Stuck in construction out in the middle of nowhere.
in the middle of nowhere with no cell phone reception, with a deflating tire, and then driving 2 hours at 70 to 90 miles an hour with a bolt in the tire on mountain roads with no guardrail where you could just see steep down the side of a mountain. It was slightly nerve-wracking. So
Experiences.
So then we left Les Schwab and decided to get dinner. Now, I feel like my response to this during the situation was very good. I just was very productive and trying to find the best I could to figure out where we need to go, who we need to call, keeping things calm. If John was getting kind of panicky, I was trying to stay calm, good to go. But how I kind of like hit my peak, and when I hit that peak, then the come down gets a little nasty. So we went to a restaurant, and because I wanted fried chicken, like that's the whole reason we went to this restaurant. And then we had to wait like 20 minutes, and there was like kids screaming all over the place. It was really crowded, and I don't like that, but whatever. And so then when we got to our table, it took the lady forever to come over and get us our drink, which is fine because it was busy, and I heard them say they were short a server. I get it. It happens. But then when she came over to take our order, I asked if I could have 2 chicken legs, and she said no. And I started crying. I couldn't handle it anymore. And those tears didn't even get me chicken legs. I got
And
no
Kelly
chicken
goes,
legs.
"Can I buy just one piece of chicken?" "Yes." "Can it be a leg?"
No. It was just, and she wasn't even nice about it until I was crying. And then I still didn't get a chicken leg. I just needed a win. I needed a chicken leg, and I didn't get it. I had ribs, and they weren't that good. John gave me a chicken wing, and he tried to order all the chicken, and I just said no. I just wanted a chicken leg.
I told him give me 2 orders of quarter dark so that at least would have a leg in it, and I'd combine them and throw away the damn thighs. I didn't care. We didn't ask about cost. I said I just wanted 2 legs. And the answer was no.
No. It hurt me. So I just ate. They do fry bread there, though.
Yeah, they do.
The bread was fried. That was good. With some honey butter. So I had some fried bread, and then we stopped and got ice cream. That was good. And now
Those Polish guys at the ice cream parlor hooked us up.
yeah, I ordered. They could tell I needed a win. I didn't even have to tell them what was going on, and they were like, "When you said 2 scoops, I think you meant 4 scoops." It was delicious. So I didn't get a chicken leg.
We got back here to the hotel tonight to get our new room that we're in right now, and come up to the parking lot, and there's not a single space.
Because everybody parked like jerks. So we had to park across the street. And
At the
it's
Amtrak station.
not a normal street. It's like a 70-mile-per-hour highway where logging trucks come down around a blind curve 100 yards away from us. So we had to play Frogger to get here. All in all, day 6 was rough. It was a really nice morning hike, and I really enjoyed seeing that moose. It all went downhill from the moose.
It did.
The moose was the high point of the day. That was at like 9 in the morning.
Experiences.
It's fine now. Day 7 will be better.
So much better.
So much better. We're going to Ghost Town, in a candy store,
Mhm.
and a sapphire thing.
Which is why we were so imperative on getting that tire fixed.
Because we have to drive like 4 hours tomorrow
Mhm.
through the mountains.
With no cell service. Again. But
I'm gonna
in
get
an
chicken.
even more deserted area, you know, at least fortunately, there's people nonstop traveling around. This is the different entrances of Glacier National Park, where we're heading down south to Phillipsburg. It gets a little bit more desolate, so. But we'll let you know about that.
Moral of the story, the tires patched. I didn't get chicken. Everything's fine. And day 6.